What's going on, guys? It's Coach Bronson here, and today we're going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes, one of the biggest misunderstandings about exercise and being on the ketogenic diet, being a fat-adapted athlete, workout enthusiast, whatever you want to call it, and how you can maintain your energy through your workouts, and utilizing something that we talk about a lot in the aspect of growing muscle and repairing our body's ability to function, but not necessarily in how we use energy. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, get into some of the weeds about how our body actually utilizes fuel, and explain to you how you can optimize not just your growth and your gains and your strength and your recovery and all that other kind of stuff, but also get better at utilizing all of the different ways, because there's more than one, all the different ways that your body utilizes fuel. Okay. So before we do that, obviously we got to talk about subscribing. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Click on the bell so you're notified every time I come out with a new video. But most importantly, if you find this information helpful, please share it with somebody. We want to get as many people informed about different aspects of health and fitness as possible so that we can all improve our quality of lives. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. We're talking about working out. One of the biggest mistakes, one of the biggest things I see people complain about is I'm trying to work out. I don't have any energy. I've been keto for a couple months. I've been keto for a couple of years in some cases, and people still struggle with figuring out how to have good energy. And it starts bringing into the conversation, do I need to cycle carbs? Do I need some carbs for exercise? Because if you listen to a lot of the talking heads out there, a lot of the fitness influencers who are in the ketogenic space or say they are, then you're going to hear a lot of people say that you can use carbs to help improve your exercise. And we're going to explain that and talk about when that's applicable and if it's even applicable for you. Okay. So let's talk about what we mean when we mean fat adapted. First thing we mean is there's 3 levels. Okay. So you're fat adapted from the aspect of your body is learning how to use fat. Okay. That is just being that initial adaptation of the first few weeks of changing over, reducing carbs, getting your body to be a fat burner. Then there's the second level, which is I call being keto adapted. So there's fat adapted, then there's being keto adapted, and that is where your body is now getting good at ketogenesis, and you're getting to the point where you can utilize and break down fatty acids on your body, adipose tissue, so that you can then utilize that for fuel. Okay, that's the second level. Okay, that's where some things start getting better. You start seeing more health benefits, more things are happening in your progress. Then there's a third level. You may have heard me talk about this before, and that's what I call being keto optimized. That's where not only are you fat adapted, not only is your body getting efficient at breaking down body fat to use for fuel, but it's also getting efficient at utilizing the components of ketones that your body can't use for fat burning and providing those to gluconeogenesis, okay, so that your body can then replenish and resupply glycogen to your muscles as needed. Okay, so gluconeogenesis is a fuel process that is part of being ketogenic. Okay, that's the number one thing that you need to understand about what we're going to talk about. Okay, so you burn fat. You break your body fat down into ketones. Your body uses ketones, mostly BHB, for fuel. There's other pieces of those fatty acids that are broken down, pyruvate, acetate, lactate, that get kicked into other processes which fall under the umbrella of gluconeogenesis. Okay, those can then be used to provide glycogen, glucose, create new glucose from the remnants of your ketogenic process. Okay, they feed each other. Okay, well, ketogenesis feeds gluconeogenesis. Okay, and you can then create glycogen for fuel. Okay, this is the main reason why I talk about exercise and being ketogenic and fat adapted and fitness, and that you don't need to cycle carbs, you don't need to include carbs, because your body can make them from the fat that you're burning. That's the cool thing about it. You break down body fat, you get ketones, you get glycogen and glucose to glycogen. Okay, so from your fat on your body, you are able to make both types of fuel that your body needs to perform physical activity. You have to understand that. Okay, that's the first part of this. Okay, Second part of this is where people make the mistake. We think that, okay, let's say you understand this concept of gluconeogenesis provides glycogen to your body when you need it. Okay, that's fantastic. That's great. Here's where we get it mixed up. Okay, the number one mistake. We look at recovery. Okay, I'm gonna do my workouts. You hear me talk about it all the time. To build muscle, you need protein. You need adequate protein. You need adequate stimulus. Okay, you need to work your muscles and let them know they need to grow, and you need adequate recovery because growth doesn't happen during work; it happens during rest. Okay, so recovery is we always tie recovery to growth of muscle and gains in our physical ability. Okay. Now, let's take that back a second, and I want you to think about big picture. Okay. What is physical ability? Physical ability is fitness. We're talking about our ability to do things. When we talk about fitness, okay, there's energy, there's metabolic functions that go into that. There's 3 metabolic pathways. We talk about stamina, we talk about endurance. There's 10 components of fitness. Okay. All of those things require what? They require energy. Okay. Part of the thing that we're working when we're growing our muscles is not just the muscle fibers, not just the tissue, but it's also our body's ability to utilize the fuel that we're required to make the muscles work. Okay. So if the processing of fuel is part of the work, then processing the fuel and how our body can replenish and recover is part of the rest and recovery process, as well as growing muscle and repair and muscle protein synthesis. Okay. You see the connection there? It's not just the muscle fibers, it's not just the tissue, but it's also the fuel processing. So we're getting good at burning the fuel to make our muscles move. We also need to get good at recovering and replenishing the stores of fuel in order to do work the next time. Okay. That's where things get funky. That's where the line gets blurry between when you do or don't, or if you even need to consider using carbs. Okay. And let's break this down. Glycogen is stored in the body. It's primarily in muscle. Most of your glycogen is stored in your muscle. Okay. Yes, your liver has some, etc. But in general, we have, depending on what numbers you look at, we have between 500 and 700 calories of glycolytic fuel stored in our body. Let's just say 700 calories, okay, of fuel stored in our body at any given time, okay? For the general, and obviously a small person and a big person will be different, but let's just generalize it and say you got 700 calories of fuel in your body that is just glycogen, okay, stored. That's what, when you exercise, if you use however much of that you need gluconeogenesis, because we're not eating carbs. You need gluconeogenesis to replenish that and get back to 700 after your workout. Okay. So that's the second thing to understand, right? Gluconeogenesis is a process that can rely on ketogenesis to replenish glycogen. When we exercise, we pull that glycogen from our muscles, from our body to fuel the exercise. Gluconeogenesis fills that bucket back up again. Okay. Now, how much? Okay. First thing to understand, and this is one of the reasons why we don't necessarily need to include carbs before, during, or after a workout. 99% of you, 99.9% of you, pretty much anybody listening to this video is never going to utilize 700 calories of glycogen in a workout. Not going to happen. On average, we're looking at maybe 150 to 250 calories, 150 to 250 calories, maybe 300 calories utilized for anybody in a given single workout. Okay. 250 to 300 max. Now, that's not even all going to be glycolytics. Some of that's going to be fat. Some of that's going to be ATP. Okay. So let's just say 100% of the only fuel that you burn during an hour-long workout is nothing but glycogen. Okay. Let's just say that. Nothing but glycogen for 1 hour. Okay. Then you may burn 250 to 300 calories of glycogen in that workout. If you didn't eat a single thing, carb, if your body didn't process anything from your ketogenesis into gluconeogenesis to make more glycogen to replenish you, okay? If something was wrong and you had absolutely zero way to replenish the glycogen stores in your body after that first workout, you could still do 2 more days of workouts and have enough glycogen to fuel those workouts without any processing of anything else to replenish your glycogen stores. Okay, think about that. On average, the average person, and that's assuming you're doing a super hard workout and you're actually burning 250, 300 calories a day in your workouts. Okay, most people are around 150 to 200. You might be able to get 4, maybe 5 days of exercising in a row if you had absolutely no way to replenish the glycogen stores in your body. At the 5th day, you'd have to be like, okay, I got to do something. I can't work out. I need to give my body time to replenish so that I can do some more workouts. Okay, see how that works? You have 700 calories in your body. You're using 150 to 250, maybe max 300 at a time. So anywhere from 3 to 5 days of exercising with what's already in your body. Okay, that's the third thing to understand. Keep that in mind. Okay, now here's where things are complicated. I have not been able to find anything that specifically talks about a fat adapted person's ability to replenish glycogen relying solely on gluconeogenesis and not ingesting carbs. Okay, there's a ton of stuff out there about carb-based diets and how you can completely replenish your stores in 24 hours if you eat enough carbs. That's kind of a no-brainer. Yes, if I eat carbs, my body's going to turn that stuff into glycogen and replenish the stores because I'm eating it. That's what its job is. It's coming in. I got to put it somewhere. Okay, I'm going to, I just worked out for an hour. I used up 200 calories of carbs. I'm going to put them back in my muscle and I'll be good to go. Okay, now, if we're trying to be fat adapted, we don't have that luxury of eating 200 calories of carbs after a workout to replenish our glycogen store. Okay, so we have to rely on gluconeogenesis. This is where that third level I talked about before of adaptation comes in getting our body better at replenishing glycogen so that we can do workouts more often, more frequently. Okay, that's the thing. That's the thing that we got to talk about. That's the mistake people make. A lot of people want to start working out and they work out and they work out and they work out and they never work on recovery. They never give their body a break enough to not just build muscle, but to get better at replenishing the glycogen. Okay. The glycogen replenishment is happening when you're not working. If I'm working, my body's fueling. I don't have time to replenish. Okay. So just like anything else, you want to de-stress your system and let that function improve. The way that it improves is you give it a chance to do the work it needs to do without the extraneous stress of actual exercise, right? Just like muscle protein synthesis. You can't build muscle while you're working out. You got to stop the workout, stop that stress, let that system, muscle protein synthesis, work so that it gets better at doing it. The more you rest, the better your body gets at building muscle. So you build muscle better and faster, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Any system that you want to improve, you have to give it an opportunity to work repetitiously. So if you want to get better at providing glycogen to your system, utilizing ketogenic and gluconeogenesis, the relationship there, then you have to give gluconeogenesis a chance to work. Okay. Now, because I haven't been able to find any specifics, I can't give you, I don't have any way to give you at what rate or how quickly, okay, gluconeogenesis could potentially get you back to 100% of your glycogen stores and you'd be back at zero. Okay. You'd be back at full tank of glycogen. Okay. What I can tell you is here's the process of how you know where you're at. Okay. You know, you've got 3 to 5 days based on your workouts, what kind of workouts you do, that, et cetera. 3 to 5 days of work that you could potentially do before you run out, quote unquote, run out of glycogen in your body. Okay. So let's just say what I recommend most people do. I recommend in general, that you don't work out more than 3 days in a row before you take a break. Okay. So let's just say, right, because the data does show that the average amount of glycogen utilized in a workout is anywhere from 20 to 40% of the total store based on what the workout is. The higher ends are data coming from studies that are being done on endurance athletes who are doing 2-hour-long bike rides, things like that. So I would say that most people are probably in the 20 to 30 range, right? That's where the 3 to 5 days. If you're using 20% of your glycogen stores per workout, you got 5 workouts in you. If you're using 30%, you got 3 workouts in you. Those numbers match up to what we're talking about. Okay. So if you're utilizing, let's say 25%, okay, 25% of your glycogen per workout, you could go 3 days, give yourself a day, right? And let's say the only thing I found is low carbohydrate diets of about 50 grams, per day, brings about 10 to 15% of glycogen stores back from whatever is used. So there's a potential that you get 15% back as a low carb person. Okay. I don't know what that is. I don't know. I don't have any numbers to show what the actual gluconeogenic response is. Okay. But I do know this. If you're working out 3 days and then you take a day, and then you work out 3 days and then you take a day, if you do get to a point where you are 3 months, 4 months, 6 months down the road, and you're like, man, my workouts are crap. Okay. I'm feeling like I don't have any energy. And you think maybe it's because I've been working out over this time and I've slowly brought my stores down. Okay. Take 2 days off, take 3 days off. Basically, if you're feeling as a fat adapted athlete that you're losing energy in your workouts, it's possibly a sign that your glycogen stores are getting low and you need to take a couple of days off to replenish them. It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. You don't need to take the carbs in order to do that. Now, that's for the normal person. And this is where the lines get blurry. That's for the normal person. Okay. Someone who is competing, there's a difference between training for quality of life improvement and competing. If you are competing in a sport and your training regimen requires that you not take as many days off, or that your training volume in general is higher, maybe you're doing 2 workouts a day, maybe you're doing a endurance session and a strength session every day, 3 or 4 days a week, you may run out of that after a day, after 2 days, based on what it is you're doing. And you may need to include some carbs specifically for the purpose of replenishing your glycogen stores, because you are working more than your body's inherent ability to replenish those stores. Okay. Not because carbs are needed for exercise. Very, very, very different message that I want to be clear on. If you are a high level performing athlete who is training at a high volume and utilizing the glycogen in your body faster than your body's inherent ability to replenish it, then you may be a beneficiary of some additional carbs in your diet. Okay. That is the only time. If you are a normal average Joe who's working out 3 to 5 days a week for 45 minutes to an hour at a generally moderate intensity, I'm pretty sure that you can probably go a long time and never have to worry about taking in carbs specifically for your workouts. Okay. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's understandable. I didn't want to get too deep into it, but just remember, okay, gluconeogenesis is inherently something that's in our body. Our body's designed to provide glycogen when it's needed. Our body's designed to keep our fuel stores where they need to be. Okay. Ketogenesis feeds gluconeogenesis. The byproducts of your ketogenic process, the stuff that's left over when BHB is made, can be turned into glycogen using gluconeogenesis. If you improve that process by taking a couple rest days, then that's going to become better. That efficiency is going to happen. You're going to start seeing faster recovery of your glycogen, faster access to fuel. You're going to be able to do more volume. I see it happen all the time. The amount of work that people can do, the speed that they recover from their workouts, all that stuff always gets better the longer you stick with it and you don't introduce the carbs. Okay. Hope that information was helpful. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in here and share this information if you find it useful. I'll talk to you soon.